Let's start with getting the basic information about the course. And this will be used on the page where we have to update the basic information like title, subtitle, description, and categories for the course. So here, I just want to return a response JSON, and we're going to pass through a couple of data objects here. So we want to retrieve the course, and this will simply be a course resource make of the course that we are accessing. Again, remember that we're using root model binding, which means once we send the course in, Laravel will automatically resolve the course based on the hash ID that is provided. And when we pull the course, I want to load the category of the course with it. So it should include the category and subcategory information. Then I want to get the list of categories, because in the form that we use to update the course, we need to identify, we would allow instructors to select the category and subcategories for the course and update that information. So when we get the information from the backend, we want to get a list of all the categories and subcategories that we have in our database. So this will simply be in a category resource collection, because it's going to be a collection of categories. And we already created an action to retrieve all categories in a previous lesson. So we're just going to call that action here. So get all categories action run. Then we also want to get the levels, because on the edit form, we want instructors to be able to select the level of their course. So we need to provide the front end with the various levels that we have for a course, which we already defined in the course level enumeration or enum. So levels will be course level, and the course level is the enum class that we created, and in there we did create a method called getArray. Okay, so if you go to this course level enum, remember we created a function called getArray, which returns the ID and the name of every single one of these course levels. So this is the information that we'll send to the user in the front end, and they will be able to use this to update the course information. Now, once the user has received that information, they filled in the form, as you can see in Udemy here, and made changes to the course information, we have to save that information in the back end in the update method. So here I'm just going to say course equals update course action run, and to it we're going to pass the data and the course that we want to update. In fact, we need to pass the course that we want to update here. We haven't filled in the data information yet, but we are going to do that in a moment. And once the update is done, we just need to return a course resource with a new updated course information. So course resource make course, and to it we are going to load the categories. So let's go and fill in this information. This is returning nothing because we haven't filled in the action and we haven't filled in the data. So this is basically returning void. And so my code editor is complaining here. But let's go and fill in the update course data first, and then we'll come back and also fill in the action, which returns the course information. So over here in the update course data, we need the title. So this is the information we expect to get from the user in the front end. And I'm just going to duplicate this. We need the subtitle. We need the description of the course. We need the level, category, and subcategory. Then to validate the information that we get, we need a title, of course. We did say that it's going to be a required field. The subtitle is also going to be required. The category is going to be required. We're going to require that it exists, and it should reference a hash ID on the category table, the subcategory is going to be the same as the category. The description is going to be required. And the level is going to be required. It should be a string. And it should be one of the levels that we have in the course levels enum. So here we just say rule in. So it should be one of course level get values. Remember, we also created a get values method in the enum here that returns an array of all the possible values in our enum class. And here, let's pull the rules class in, and that's illuminate validation rule. Which means in our update course action here, we are passing through the data, which is the update course data and the course itself. So here we need to do update course data, and we are passing through the course, and we can proceed and just do our update in this function. So I'm just going to do a return tab, and a tab is a helper function in Laravel that allows us to update the course here and return the newly updated object, because an update operation in Laravel generally returns a boolean, a true or false, whether the course was updated or not. But we want to return the actual object itself, which is why we wrap it in a tab. And so whatever operation we carry out on this course, it will actually return the modified version of the course itself and not just the boolean true or false. So we are going to do tab course update, and we'll basically fill in the information that needs to be updated. So title is going to be data, title, subtitle will be data, subtitle, description, level, category ID, and as we've done before, this is going to be the category class get ID, because remember that we are passing the hash ID for the category and subcategories in the request, but we need to store the actual ID. So we are going to basically get the ID, and this will be the same for the subcategory ID. So category, and we get the subcategory ID. So here we are returning the updated course information that goes back to the controller, and the controller will send it back to the front end, and that's it. So over in Postman, let's test these two methods. The first is to get the course information, and that's under the basic information subfolder, get course basic information. Again, we need the course ID here. So in my database, I'm just going to grab one of the course hash IDs, pop it in there and send the request. And we do get the course information, which includes the course, all the categories, and all the levels that we can have, which users can select from. So that is working just fine. Then let's update the course information, okay? So in here, I'm just going to set the title. And if I go back actually here, we can copy the title and subtitles and put them in our data here, because I don't want to change them right now. But let's try to change the category and the subcategories, and maybe let's just change the level as well, and whatever description you want to provide to the course. So I'm going to change the category and subcategories for this course. So if I go to the database, I can simply copy a different ID here for my subcategory. And actually, let's maintain the category ID to business. but let's change the subcategory, which at the moment is entrepreneurship, but let's change that to management. And if all is well here, let's try and send the request. And that course information is updated with the new category as management. Okay, let's try to send the request with a wrong level that doesn't exist in our enum class. If you try to send this, then you see that we get an error saying the selected level is invalid. So this is being validated appropriately, and I think we are on a good track to updating our course information. So in the front end, we'll simply populate the form, have the user save it, and we handle that in the back end using this endpoint.